I'm Jon Sicotte, Executive Editor of the Brewer Magazine. Welcome to the Brewer Magazine podcast. And we are here at Craft and Carry on the Upper West Side of New York. I'm joined by CEO and CEO and co-founder. That's like the Pooah Alon from Beerternational. Thanks for joining us. This is awesome.
Thanks for having me.
Well, let's just kind of get started. I mean, give me a little thought process of how things started for you guys, what you guys are, what you guys do. And just, some background to get things going.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Pooah Alon. I'm an Israeli, and I worked in the craft beer industry in Israel early 2000s, and always wanted to do. I started as a bartender, and then I worked as a sales rep and marketing director for an importing and wholesaler wholesale company that imported only premium beers, mostly Belgium, beers such as Duvel, Maretsu, Saint Bernardus, Lindmans, Schnitt.
Yeah.
So I really, this really opened my mind, and this is what introduced me to like really high quality premium beers. And then at 2010, I left the company shortly, just for a semester, to study French in Paris. And I'll get back to that later because it's important for the story. I did it for a semester. I came back, and then I was the marketing director for that company. It's called Norman Premium, it was called. And being a marketing director, I dealt a lot with export managers for all these brands, Duvel and Saint Bernardus and Chimay, and I really loved what they were doing. Just the fact of drinking good beers, talking about it, tour the world, seemed perfect to me. So I knew I wanted to do something with international sales. And then in 2015, my husband and I relocated to Boston for his work. So, and by then I already knew I wanted to do something with beer, that this is my career. And I worked for Sam Adams for almost 18 months. I worked at the visitor center, and I thought maybe, I could do something at the export department. This didn't really work out, but, I left Sam, and I was thinking, okay, I'll import Israeli craft beers. It was just starting. I knew a lot of the people behind the craft beer brands, and I thought this could be an awesome thing to do. Took me a couple of months to realize that it's just going to be so complicated, and I would have to sell the beer at a very high price. Practically hardly known Israeli craft brewery at the price of Chimay brew.
Wow.
So I was like, okay, I was back to square one. What am I going to do? And then I came up with the thought of, instead of importing 95% water across the world, why not producing the beers locally?
Yeah.
I mean, this is the U.S. We have pretty much everything here. The beer would be fresher, the process would be greener, the price would be much better. And I started thinking about it, talked to my husband and business partner, and we came up with the name Beerternational. And after we were thinking about the name, I was like, well, why concentrating, only on Israeli craft beers? Like, this could be a platform for international craft breweries from pretty much all over the world want to, sell their beers here in the U.S. Who doesn't want to be in the biggest, most important market in the world?
Right.
And 5 minutes later, I called my friend from Paris from 2010, Maïra from Japas. We attended the same French class. So, and she told me, we met again in Boston, and she told me about Japas. And I just remember my initial reaction to this brand. I was like, wow, so cool. This was way before I thought of Beerternational, but everything clicked. And I called her and I was like, hey, I had this idea. What do you think of me representing, your company? And it's we have such a Beerternational story. Because
Nice.
I'm Israeli, she's Brazilian. We met in France. The beers are produced in the U.S. and they're Japanese inspired.
So yeah, so Japas kind of ignited this for you guys,
Yes.
And they're still a brand with you. When did things get started as Beerternational then?
Yeah, so we launched Beerternational and Japas US at the Extreme Beer Fest in Boston of 2019.
Okay.
It was it was an amazing event. Maíra came from Brazil, and we introduced Matsuika and Wasabiru. That was our first beers. Wasabiru is the first beer that Japas released back in 2014 in Brazil, and yeah, it was like really everything we hoped for.
And the thing, we have a couple of the beers that we can
Awesome, yes.
try. So which one do you want to start with?
I think that let's start with the Matsuika.
Yeah.
This is kind of like, well, it's our best-selling beer. And the thing with Japas beers, all of their creations are Japanese-inspired with Japanese ingredients. So this one is a Bohemian Pilsner with jasmine flowers.
Wow.
I can tell you that, from what I learned from Japas, they all went to Japan, loved jasmine tea, and thought of combining this ingredient with Saz hops, or basically Bohemian Pilsner, with the floral of the hops. So, cheers.
Cheers, yeah. I got ahead of myself there. And yes, delicious, and it's the floral mixes so well that,
Yes.
and like is it something that it was almost like we want to make sure that we're putting Japanese inspired ingredients in and finding the ones that work best, or is it kind of the reverse part? We want to get this in here. What's a beer that's going to work with that?
So that's a great question. I mean, I know that for example, for this style, it made perfect sense for them to make this combination between the floral Saz, noble hops, and the Pilsner and the jasmine flowers. In the case of Wasabiru, what happened was that they actually tried few different beers with few different Japanese ingredients, and came to the conclusion that the wasabi one with the pale ale was the best combination. And they brewed like, I don't know, maybe 700 or 800 liters, and then sold out in 3 days. So they were like, "Oh, okay, we have something here. Maybe we should do something more." It started as kind of like a joke, and yeah. But basically, Japas. Maybe I should explain a bit.
Right.
This is a female-owned Brazilian Japanese brewery. So these are 3 Brazilian ladies, but from Japanese heritage. And this is what they wanted to do. They wanted to explore and showcase their heritage, their Japanese part. And I this is an amazing brand that's really doing well, and also their beers are so well balanced. Nothing's too overwhelming. Everything is very delicate, and I think the Matsuika is a perfect example for that.
Awesome. So many intricacies as a business person in this. So many different aspects of just getting it here, because you're contracting, you're working on distribution. There's a lot of different things that maybe not the normal. Hey, I'm a home brewer. I'm going to start a brewery and open a tap room. Did you know those challenges going in? Did you, what have been some of those things that you're like, wow, I learned a lot in that?
Oh my God, I didn't know anything. I mean, I obviously I know beer and I worked in the beer industry, but I'm not a brewer. And I must say, it's pretty, the business construction, or like the way the business work, or our company works, there aren't a lot that do that, so it's still, I see, I'm in touch in different states, and they're alcohol department. And it's difficult a bit to explain who am I, what am I doing, what is my role, it took me maybe, I don't know, a few months to understand which licenses I need to get to obtain. What kind of license do I need? So there, I learned so much. Of course, I thought I'm saving a lot of challenges, or getting rid of a lot of challenges by producing the beers here, and definitely it's true.
Yeah.
But little did I know that I would need to face a very different, tons of other challenges.
Yeah.
But it's been a good journey.
How about that contracting side? Finding great partners has become, I think, a little bit easier. There are breweries that make great beer. You can find. Did you go shopping for places? Did you look for people that you knew or wanted to work with? What was the story of finding people to work with to be able to produce these brands here in America?
Yes. So it's also a good question, because finding a good, partner, local partner it was definitely, a big challenge. We started brewing here in New York, on Long Island. Again, almost 6 years ago. It wasn't very, as popular, or you didn't have as many options as you have today. But it was a great partner, still a brewery that I love a lot. But at some point, we started distribution in the West Coast. So on the West Coast.
Wow.
And in California and Oregon. So we were like, it made more sense, to brew it in a different, more central location. So at some point we moved Japas production to Illinois. And then we were, I was brewing Schnitt in New York, and then Japas in Illinois, and then Narcose also in Oslo, also in Illinois. So it was kind of like, a bit all over the place. A good thing, maybe it is, an advantage that I have this flexibility, that I'm not, not to have a brick and mortar facility that allowed me to do that. But I'm very happy that we were finally able to consolidate or centralize all the production of all the wonderful brands to Louisville, Kentucky. So yes, I was introduced to this to the great guys at Against the Grain.
Yeah, we love them.
Oh,
hi guys.
Awesome.
Sam's great.
I love them. They're both awesome. Sam and Jerry,
Jerry,
good people, and amazing, beers, and so professional, so nice, and so supportive.
Yeah.
So I was super happy. I was introduced to them by Mayra and Daniel. Mayra from Japas and Daniel from Narcose. So now it makes, again, everything so, makes sense. We brew everything at the same place, and yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. Other brands. We were talking about other brands, but we really haven't talked about them yet. You guys have a portfolio, 4 different breweries,
right?
From 3 different countries. Kind of give us a rundown. We've talked about Japas, but there's 3 others as well. It's Oslo and Schnitt and Narcose.
Yes. So the second brand that we added to the portfolio is Oslo Brewing Company. So it's a fantastic brewery. Well, they also contract brew out of Oslo, Norway.
Oh, okay.
Amazing people, 12 high school friends, all live in Oslo. One of the CEO is actually, he's from Rhode Island originally. He married a Norwegian girl. She is part of the high school friends. Again, wonderful people. We have their Nordic Pilsner, and then the Oslav. Their beers, basically they started, just wanted to show, how much they love their city, and how much the Oslo is a very, it's getting more and more famous for its uniqueness. And, you can, I still haven't been, unfortunately, but from what I was told, it's like there's a city, but you can walk 10 minutes and you're in a forest, or nature is very, very present. So their beers are kind of like, you can have them while you're in nature, and just wanted to, again, show the world how wonderful Oslo is. So that was, and Oslo, one of the Oslo founders, Stefan, was actually in one of my tours at Sam Adams.
Oh, wow.
And we talked, and he was in Tel Aviv. He loves Tel Aviv, and he was, we stayed in touch, and then it came together. Again, very cool story.
Yeah.
Narcose, Narcose, yes, I mentioned, I knew them from Japas. So Daniel from Narcose, it's a family-owned brewery, and all the family. So it's mom, dad, and then Daniel and his sister, and their brewery is located at the south of Brazil, very close to the beach. All of them scuba dive, so that's why the scuba diver is like
okay.
there. And Narcose is like it's narcosis. So this phenomena when you dive and then you go up very fast, and then your head is, you get a sensation that's close or similar to drunkenness.
Oh, okay.
So yes, so this is Narcos. Again, great, Daniel, great brewer, great person, great to work with him.
Yeah.
And Schnitt is actually, it's the family. It's my family.
Awesome.
My brother is one of the owners and founders of Schnitt Brewing Company in Tel Aviv, and him and his business partner introduced me to the beer world through that company, the importing and wholesaler company.
Awesome.
So it's all coming back together.
So I bet. I mean, obviously, the selling point is it's international beer at U.S. prices. I mean, is that how you can, when you're selling it to beer bars, to be able to be like, we can get this to you for at a better cost? And like you said, you would have to sell it at Chimay prices otherwise.
Right.
So does that help bring in the opportunities to have an international flair, but it's actually a domestic beer?
Yes, 100%. I mean, the fact that we can, like produce it at a much, more affordable price than importing, it's definitely a factor, a good and important factor. Also, the fact that the beer is just not spending a few weeks in transit.
Yes.
So everything is another important thing that when I thought of Israeli beers, up until last year, I want to say, or maybe 18 months ago, there weren't really local Israeli craft breweries that were using cans. Everything was bottles. And when I thought of it, in 2017, I already saw that, cans are definitely the thing. And bringing, importing, again, a bottle seemed a bit, outdated. So that really allowed me to adapt, to the local, to the local market trends or demands as well. This as well as kegs, importing kegs is just, you can't really do. So that's another thing that I really liked when I thought of this idea.
Nice, nice. Well, let's transition to the next beer. You can tell us about this. It's a plum sour.
Yes.
From Japas.
Yes. So sawa means sour in Japanese. I learned a lot about the Japanese.
Oops, I'm going to use a clean glass. We'll talk about being cicerones here a little bit.
Oh, cool.
make sure clean glassware is always important.
Yes. So yeah, Matsurika is one of our year-round beers, and sawa, it's a rotating sour, fruited sours. This one is with plum. Cheers.
Cheers. And the fruited
Very
sours
delicate.
is such a great beer that has been rising,
Right.
and they're being made better even, and the quality is obviously so important now.
Yes.
And plum, a great way to be able to bring that tartness, but still have that fruitiness in it. Was this, what was the reason for this? Because the plums are Japanese. That's where another
Yes.
piece of it.
This was one of the, also I think, the first sours we ever made. Definitely plum, an important fruit in the Japanese culture, and also the name I learned, because sawa does resemble the word sour. And yeah, a lot of words in Japanese are influenced by international languages. So this is, from what I learned, sawa is definitely coming from the word sour. And again, just a great example for Japas ability to combine and make everything come together in such a beautiful way. Nothing is just, okay, we'll just add this fruit and that's it. No, everything is well thought. The art, by the way, the beautiful art behind the brand is done by Yumi, one of the co-founders. So that's also very cool. Yeah, very light, refreshing. Again, nothing's too puckery or tart or.
Right. Well, we kind of talked about Cicerone training. What you're a certified, was that level 2?
Yes.
I've got to level 1, and then it literally just on a whim, I'm going to take the test just to see, and passed on the first. And great, I know how to pour a beer. What's that challenge, that change? Because once you get to level 2, there's actually some training involved. There's some thought process. Why did you do it, and how did you do, and why did you want to do it? All that stuff,
Yeah, I mean, I did it while I was working at Sam Adams.
Okay.
And yeah, I did the level 1, and it was, again, I knew about beer. I did have some trouble with all the local, there's some local things about how much you can drink and drive.
Oh, yeah.
So that was not my best. This is where I did less well, but I don't know. It just felt like, I mean, it's such a challenge. I mean, really, the Cicerone, the level 1 and level 2 are, you have to really, really know a lot about beer and just it's very, for me, again, it was also challenging. It's not my language, my first language.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was it was super, super challenging, but also, I mean, I was so happy. I had a friend in Sam that has done it, and she helped me a lot. Just like helping me with the tasting. There's like, I don't know how it is today. I think they maybe changed it during COVID, but back in the day, it was like you did everything at the same time. So the written part, the tastings. I think it started with the written part and the tastings, and then the assemble and disassemble of the tap hand, tap
systems and stuff like that. Yeah.
And yeah, I was really happy. It was 5-6 agonizing weeks to wait for the results. I was so nervous, but yeah, learning that I passed first time.
Yeah.
So proud of myself. And I was the first Israeli to pass it, but now there are like few more.
Cool.
And yeah, and this, I think, just the fact that people are doing this, are starting so hard, and they want to know more about beer, and they care about how beer is being served, or the differences between the styles, or what goes well, how to combine it with food. Everything is, I mean, people put a lot of time, energy, sometimes money, into really, really know more about this amazing drink. And I love it. Just the fact that there are more Israel is a small country, and to see that there are more people doing it, it's awesome.
Yeah. What's the future hold for you guys? You have the 4 brands now. You've been able, through friends, family. Is this something you're looking to expand upon? Or is this like, we're happy with where we are, we're doing great? What's the future of Beerternational?
Yeah, I mean, right now we're not actively looking for adding more brands to our portfolio, but
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely something that I see in the near future. I don't know, maybe next year, in a year or two.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently selling in 16 states, and I think, just concentrating on these markets and then maybe expand within the US would be great. And I think what I want, that the way I would love to think about Beerternational is that when someone hears the name Beerternational, they will know this is a good beer involved, and they will want to try, oh, I had Oslo, oh cool, Schnitt is also from Beerternational, I'll try that, oh, Japas, so this is where I really want to see the company going, and I think having the right brands with such wonderful beers and great people behind the brands, and great local partners, I feel we're doing something right, so I'm happy.
Awesome. Well, we're not going to drink all these beers on camera, but we'll do some of them after the fact. But I appreciate you taking the time to come and talk to us.
Thank you.
I just happened to be in New York, and this is the first person I got a hold of. I wanted to talk to you. I thought it was a great story, and hopefully you guys continue to succeed. And I love the business idea. So cheers.
Thank you. Cheers.
Don't forget, you can always check on brewermag.com. You can also see us on YouTube and listen to us on Spotify. And don't forget daily updates on Facebook, Instagram, and X. I'm Executive Editor Jon Sicotte for brewermagazine.com.